about being here. It's just, you know, Cindy, you've created a community of amazing people, and just to see the diversity of who's represented and Karen's wisdom. I love what you were talking about, the 3 different willpowers. I've never thought about it that way. And so I'm just happy to be here and able to share some of what I've learned over the years. And hopefully that will be useful to you. So I invite you to kind of engage in this conversation with me. And we'll have an opportunity to talk a little bit more about it at the end and tomorrow. So this presentation that I have today is called Predictable Revenue in Uncertain Times. And it's for you if perhaps some of the previous sources of revenue that you've been relying on have diminished or even dried up completely in this time of crisis. You know, these revenue sources may have been in decline a little bit before. I see this with brick and mortar retail businesses that have been really over the last 10 years losing their business little by little to Amazon and online retailers. And then COVID came along and it just kind of fell off a cliff. So a lot of these trends have been going on for some time, and COVID just accelerated those trends. You maybe have been getting small or inconsistent returns from your marketing investments, the time and money that you spend in attracting new customers to your business. And maybe now it's caught up with you. Or you're looking to gain or regain some income stability in your business and the financial security that results from that. A lot of people have a business where the revenue is kind of up and down, and we'll talk about how to make that more predictable and reliable. Or you might be like my client, Emily, who owns a fitness business in Portland, and she for years was struggling with breaking through a revenue ceiling that she'd been stuck at for a couple of years. And no matter what she did or how hard she tried, she just couldn't break through it. Nothing mattered. And she's one of the hardest working people I've ever met. And but think about, if you were in Emily's shoes, think about what you might be feeling if you were in that position, and what you might be thinking about your business, or what you might be feeling or thinking about yourself even. What emotions come to mind? So we may have been thinking and feeling some of those same things recently as the COVID crisis hit. And what do? We tend to think, well, if I just keep on going, if I just work harder, if I just keep trying, it'll all work out. But what Emily found was that until she changed what she was doing and how she was thinking about what she was doing, nothing made a difference. And in fact, at the end of the day, what she needed was somebody to dive deep in her business and walk her through the changes that she needed to make in order to break through to the next level. So specifically what I'm going to share with you today is I call the predictable revenue framework. And it's really a disciplined approach to marketing and sales. Before I get into that, let me just tell you a little bit more about me. I am the owner of Cognesis Marketing. I worked for HP for 26 years in various marketing roles and leadership roles. And since then have helped probably close to 200 small businesses now increase their capacity to grow. And as I look back on all that experience, one of the things I noticed is that there are certain principles that are applied to both large and small businesses, but that small businesses have some particular unique challenges. We don't have all the specialists that a big business have. We don't have the big teams. We don't have lots of resources. A lot of times we're skeptical about trying new things, especially if they're going to cost us money. And we don't have personnel specialists and marketing specialists and finance specialists. We kind of have to wear all those hats. And we have limited budgets. We're constrained by that. So what I've noticed though, is that there are certain things that big businesses do that small businesses adopt in order to get big. And those are the principles that I'm going to zero in on and talk about today. And I've had the advantage of that a lot of small businesses I notice don't have. And as I've gotten to know this community, I see that as well. Many of us have no real training in business. And I have had the advantage of having master's level courses that I've taken in business. And then I've had a whole career working for a Fortune 50 company. So so I'm really passionate about taking what I've learned in those business settings and sharing them with small businesses. So the 5 disciplines I'm going to talk about are focus, know your numbers, set smart goals, eliminate inefficiencies, and close the learning loop. Now, the next portion of this presentation is going to get a little conceptual, and it's important that I get across some of these concepts, because these concepts probably are new to many of us, but they're important concepts. They're concepts that larger companies and companies that get into a growth mode know and adapt and incorporate into their business. So bear with me as I cover over some concepts here, and I think you'll find them useful. So the first concept is the discipline is focus. So the reason focus is important is because we only have 24 hours every day. None of us can make more time. And the reality is we can't afford to market to everyone. So we need to make choices, and we want to make consistent choices. And an important foundational piece to that is having a written marketing plan. So why is a written marketing plan important? Well, it provides consistency so that all of the things that we're doing are working towards the same goal. It helps you prioritize, which, by the way, a lot of us feel overwhelmed much of the time or some of the time. And if you have a written plan where you've made some clear choices, that can help you determine what's more important, what you can let go of. It provides some clarity on what you're doing, and clarity, I find, it opens me up to take action. If I'm clear about what it is that I'm doing, I find it very easy to move ahead. And as I said, it aligns all of our activities so that everything that we're doing is pointing us in the same direction, and we don't have an inefficient use of our resources. So diving down a little bit deeper into a marketing plan, and we don't have time here today to get into a lot of detail, but I do want to hit some of the key decisions that need to be addressed in a marketing plan. And by the way, a marketing plan is not something that you write and it's 20 pages long or 50 pages long and it sits on the shelf and it's a kind of an academic work. It really can be a page or two. The important thing is it documents the choices you've made or that you're making. And that's really the purpose of it, is to make clear, what you're going to do, what you're going to focus on, what you're not going to focus on. And some of those choices I've listed here. So the first one is, who is your ideal customer? Now, this one I get a lot of pushback on, because especially from small business owners, because we think if we focus on one kind of customer, we're giving up all this opportunity out there. But the reality is, in order for your marketing to be effective, you need to make some choices. And like I said, you can't market to everyone. The numbers just don't work out. And also, when you put your marketing messages together, they need to be written. Really powerful marketing messages are written with an individual in mind, clearly in mind. So the clearer we can be about who it is that we want to reach and connect with, and what drives them and what keeps them up at night, the more likely we are to connect with them. Second thing is, what is the unique value you deliver? So, and this kind of the elevator pitches that we shared a little bit earlier kind of get at this, but if there's nothing unique about us, then there's no real reason for a consumer to buy from us. And so as a result, fewer of them are going to do than we would like are going to do that. So it's important to be clear about what makes you unique and what makes you better than the next alternative. Third thing is, who are your strategic marketing partners? It's very rare that a business can make it on their own. And we can get tremendous leverage from collaborating with people who share the same market we do, serve the same group of people, share our values so that we can collaborate with them, and also are complementary in terms of what they offer. So they don't offer what we offer, but they offer different things to the same customer group. And by collaborating with them, we can get tremendous leverage. Fourth thing is, what communication channels are you going to use to get the word out about your business? Are you going to do networking? Are you going to make cold calls? Are you going to have billboards? Are you going to have Facebook ads? You know, the choices are really almost uncountable these days in terms of how you can reach out. But that means that you need to make a choice, because you can't do them all. So we need to define in our marketing plan which channels are we going to use in order to reach the ideal customer. So which is another purpose of understanding our customers. What are they listening to? What are they reading? Where are they? Who are they listening to? Where do they hang out? So those are important things to know about our customer in order to choose the right way to reach them. The next piece is, what are your lead, core, and premium offers and their prices? So, you know, what are you going to, what's the first thing you're going to sell? And then once you've made that first sale, you've spent all the money getting a customer. We need to have additional products and services we can sell those customers so that they ultimately become a very profitable for us to do business with. Next point is description, being able to describe your buyer's journey. So when someone buys a product and service, they actually go on a journey that typically starts with recognizing that they have a need for something. And then they go through a process of determining what possible things can I use to meet this need or solve this problem that I have. And then they kind of narrow them down, and then they move on to make a decision and making a purchase. But it's important to know what that buyer journey is, because you actually speak to your customer, client, or prospect in a different way as they move through that journey. And so it's important to map all that out. Last piece is your marketing ROI model. So this is the financial side of marketing. We need to know what we're going to spend and what kind of return we need to get on that spend in order to be profitable. Okay, moving on to discipline number 2, know your numbers. So Lord Kelvin was a guy, an 18th century scientist, who was the first person to figure out what the lowest possible temperature was in the universe, which is called absolute zero. And by the way, that's minus 459 degrees Fahrenheit. So if you don't learn anything else in this presentation, you've learned that today. And what he's made a statement, this is what gets measured, gets managed. And that's a really important concept in business, because if we're going to optimize something and manage something and make it productive and achieve our performance goals, we need to measure it. Until we get to the clarity of being able to measure things, we really don't understand things well enough to have influence over them. But the question then is, so what in marketing do you measure? And so what I've listed here are 4 what I consider essential key performance indicators, or KPIs, that tell us how well our marketing is working. So the first one is lead flow. How many leads come into your business in a day or month or year? Second one is conversion rate. What percentage of those turn into customers? Third one is the customer acquisition cost. What do you spend to buy a customer? Now, I say buy a customer. A lot of people don't look at it that way, but in reality, we invest time or money in attracting customers to our business. And we need to understand and be able to control what that cost is if we're going to be profitable and if we're going to grow. Fourth number is annual customer value. So that's how much the customer on average spends with you in a year. And the best practice that I recommend is that you track these as closely as you track profit and loss. We all track profit and loss. That's at the end of the day, at the end of the quarter, week, month, year. We need to know if we're making money or not as a business. And that's a good thing to know, but that's kind of like the score on the scoreboard at the end of the game. It tells you if you won or lost, but it doesn't tell you how to win the game. These key performance indicators that I've suggested here for marketing actually tell you what you need to do in order to win the game. So, if you're playing football, you need to know where you are on the field. You need to know how many downs you have left in order to know whether you're going to pass or run or kick or whatever. And so these key performance indicators tell us what are the things we need to make adjust or course correct in order to achieve the goals that we have for the quarter, the week, the year, etc. So this brings us to the predictable revenue formula. So you can actually, if you start to get your handle on these key performance indicators in your business and can measure these, you can actually predict what your revenue is going to be with a fairly high degree of certainty. So annual sales equals lead flow times conversion rate times the annual value of your customer. So if you understand and can control those numbers, you can actually predict what your sales are going to be in a given year. And then your return on marketing investment is your annual customer value divided by your customer acquisition cost. So it's important to be able to know what that is, so that you can have confidence in how you're spending your money and that you're going to get a return on the money that you spend on marketing. Okay, so discipline number 3 is setting SMART goals. Yogi Berra once said, if you don't know where you're going, you just might end up someplace else. So it's important to set goals, and it's important that they be SMART. Now, this is not anything new that I'm telling you. We've probably all heard of SMART goals. They've been around a long time, but how many of us actually implement them on our business and sit down on a regular basis and create SMART goals? So a SMART goal is specific, measurable, actionable, realistic, and time-bound. So specific means we're making a specific change. Measurable means there's an objective way to measure whether that change is happening or not. Actionable means there's some specific activities we can undertake in order to make that change happen. Realistic means we have the resources necessary to bring about that change. And time-bound means we have a deadline. So an example is I want to increase my conversion rate from 10 to 15% in 90 days. It's specific because what I'm changing is my conversion rate. It's measurable from 10 to 15%. It's actionable. Presumably I know what things impact my conversion rate. And it's realistic. I've said 10 to 15%, not 10 to 70%. That would be probably unrealistic. And then I've got a 90-day deadline, so it's time-bound. So discipline number 4 is eliminating inefficiencies. So 90% of businesses waste 80% of the time and money they invest in outreach. This is a sad truth. And this is how it works. It's a little bit like having a hose with a leak in it, so the water doesn't get to where you want it to go. And where we want the water to go is revenue into our business. But what ends up happening is there are 3 major areas of waste in most small businesses. One is lost traffic. Lost traffic is whatever we're doing to outreach, whether that's networking or SEO or ads on Facebook or whatever it is we're doing to introduce people to our business. Most of that doesn't ever turn into a lead. In fact, as an example, website traffic generally in the industry, 98% of website traffic goes away without a trace. They don't leave any mark at all. That means whatever we invested to get that traffic to our website, 98% of it is wasted. Lost leads are people who had an interest, have a need in what we have to sell, but they never purchased from us. And there have been studies that have been done that have shown that 80% of deals close after 7 touches because people need to get to know, like, and trust us before they're going to purchase from us. But 90% of businesses give up after 2. So most businesses are giving up too soon in order to convert their leads into customers, and so they're wasting a large part of their efforts there. The last area of waste is lost customers. These are people that have bought from us once, but we haven't seen them in a long time. And 60% of customers leave a business not because they've had a bad experience with the product or service, but because of indifference. They don't feel the love from the business. And so next time someone has a need, they just go somewhere else. I have a great example of this. My wife and I used to have a house with 50 windows in it, and we had the windows cleaned. They were dirty. We got them cleaned. The guy did a great job. We were very happy. The next year we noticed that our windows were dirty again, and we wanted to have them cleaned, but we, not being the best organized people, didn't keep his card around, couldn't remember who he was. So we had to start the process all over again, finding a window cleaner. If that window cleaner had simply sent us a postcard in 9 months or a year, we probably would have said, yeah, come out and clean our windows. But he was indifferent to us. He was probably, off chasing the next customer and missed that opportunity. So how do we fix those leaks? So lost traffic, what we want to have is a lead magnet. A lead magnet is something that you offer of value in exchange for contact information, name, customer, name, email address, phone number, and the ability to continue a conversation. So For lost leads, you want to have consistent follow-ups. You want to be able to not just chase after the hot leads, the people that are ready to buy, but those that are not quite ready to buy now, may be ready to buy tomorrow, and we need to stay in touch with them and in front of them over a period of time. And then we need to nurture them over the long term. And then for lost customers, we want to create delightful experiences, offer them additional products and services, ask for referrals, and ask for testimonials. So that's the conceptual part of the presentation. I'm going to move on to some examples now, which I'm hoping will make this a little more clear and bring it home. So this is an example of a lead magnet. This is the website of Dr. Joy. She's a nutritionist, and she's offering on her website a food meal planner. And so if you give her your email address, you can get your meal planning guide and additional tips on how to increase your overall health. And so what she's done is she's offered something of value, her expertise, in exchange for your information, so that she can have an ongoing conversation with you. And ultimately, she wants to invite you to a consult where she sits down one-on-one and helps you with your nutrition. The second example is one that I use, and I'll give a shout out here to Cindy. So I use Banner Season to send brownies to new clients. And the brownies are great. They love them. It has my logo on it, so they know who that's from. It has their name on it, so it's personalized. And it just creates that little bit of a surprise. I don't tell them that it's coming. And these brownies show up in their mailbox, and it creates that little bit of delight and surprise that I want to create for my clients. So this is an example of someone who is offering new products to past customers. So this is a recruiter. So she works with a lot of people and she can place some of them in jobs and some of them she can't. And so what she's doing is she's offering additional services to the people that she hasn't been able to place, in things like getting your LinkedIn profile tuned up, or networking skills, or how to prep for interviews, or how to spruce up your resume. And so she offers some coaching in each one of those things, and she's reaching back out to the people that she'd done business with before and offering them these additional services. This is an example of asking for repeat business. So this is a client that I worked with who does pressure washing of roofs and exteriors. And this is a $36,000 email. This was initialized in a fastest path to cash discovery session that I did with this business owner. And we identified that only 20% of his customers came back and got their roof cleaned year 2 and year 3, when actually all of them need their roof cleaned in order to have maintain their roof life. And so what we did is we put together this email that went out to his clients and said, basically, I'm putting a system in place that's going to keep me in front of my customers. And if you'd like to sign up for repeat roof maintenance, click here and we'll get you scheduled. This created 90 new jobs in just a couple of weeks, which was equivalent of about $36,000. The next example is Chef V. Chef V has a green drink company, and they deliver a fresh, organically, locally grown green drink to your door each week. And they had tremendous fans for customers. And we actually did a little survey to see how supportive their customers were, and we asked them how likely were they to refer a new customer to this product. And they rated 9.5 out of 10, which is phenomenal. They had raving fans, and they were getting referrals, but they weren't being intentional about it. So what we did is we put together an email campaign that to those people that rated them highly, and asked them to become brand ambassadors. So if they referred somebody to the business, they got a week of free drink, and their friend got a week of free drink. And this generated over 200 new customers, about $50,000 in new business. The last example is going back to Emily, who I mentioned before, where she was frustrated by her revenue ceiling and leads falling through the cracks. And what we did is we really cracked the code and put a system in place to nurture relationships with people from the point where they first came in contact with her to the point where they've been members for years and years and years. So we put that system together that was illustrated on the right-hand side of the slide here to help her get members and keep members. And the results were pretty phenomenal. Within a few months, her revenue was up by $10,000 a month, and she's now tripled her business. So she really did break through that ceiling. So the last discipline is I call close the learning loop. So this has a historical basis. There was a guy whose name was W. Edwards Deming, and he was a consultant responsible for reforming the automotive industry in Japan after World War II. And after the war, the industry in Japan was basically in ruins. And he took that industry and rebuilt it to the point where in a few short decades, they actually toppled Detroit from world dominance of the car market. And one of the tools he deployed was something called the Deming cycle. And the Deming cycle has 4 parts to it. The first part is plan, then do, then check, then act. So you make a marketing plan, you execute the marketing plan, you check the results against what your goals were, and then you make changes and course corrections. And if you do this consistently and repeatedly, you get on a path to where you can create predictable results. And this serves to keep us out of the trap that a lot of small businesses fall into, which is they think that there's some kind of, we all would love to find some formula or silver bullet that is the answer to our marketing problem. But in reality, every business is different. Every customer set's different. Things change over time. And really the only way to get to that reliable, predictable revenue is by going through this learning process and learning what works for our business. So one last thing I'll throw in here is that the entrepreneur must get out of their way in order to scale. So we all, as entrepreneurs, we kind of run our business. We have all the hats. We're doing all the things. Everything's in our head. And in order for us to scale, we need to get what's in our head out into documented processes that ultimately can be automated and or outsourced in order to scale. So let me bring this home by asking you to reflect on a few questions. Do you have a written marketing plan? Does it address the things that we talked about, those key decisions that we talked about? Do you have SMART goals in your business that you update and review regularly? Do you have marketing metrics that you keep track of daily, weekly, or monthly? Have you eliminated the marketing inefficiencies in your business? And do you have a method in place for continuously improving results? So now that you've had a chance to think about this, and if you've answered no to any of those questions, there's opportunity for improvement. And you have a choice. You can either go back to the old way of doing things, or you can move forward and make some changes. And in case you think you can't do it, I like this quote by Henry Ford. It says, whether you think you can or think you can't, you'll be right. So in reality, we do have a choice. And if you'd like to move forward, I'll be talking about some resources later that I can offer to support you. So with that, I'd like to hear from you. What sort of ahas are you taking away from what we've talked about so far?
Thank you, Dave. This is great. I love the content. It really gives us food for thought here. So anybody have any, as Dave's inviting us, any ahas, epiphanies, insights that come to mind after Dave's sharing? So feel free to unmute yourself or raise your hand.
I do. Thank you, Dave. This is really, really great presentation. And I feel like I'm not doing the check act part of the plan, do, check, act. Even though I know about it, I'm aware of it. I'm not doing it though. So that was a good aha for me.
Yeah, that's important because a lot of people, I find a lot of people, and I don't know if this is the case for you or not, but a lot of people try something in marketing and they're like, well, that didn't produce the result I wanted. So then they try something completely different. And rather than learning from what and refining what they've done, so that ends up, you know, people spin their wheels a long time just searching for the thing if they don't close that loop. So good. I'm glad you took that away.
That's so true, because sometimes we're just so close, right? And then we give up and start all over again. And sometimes we just need to press in and tweak it. I like the way you said that.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I have something. It's Tamara. The buyer's journey, that right there just really kind of hit me, because I haven't really thought about what their experience is. I'm only thinking about my experience on my end and how I'm going to have to change my mind, change my thinking, and change the way I look at things.
Awesome. Good job. That's really key. And that's a lot of success here is putting ourselves in the shoes of our clients and looking at things from their perspective.
Exactly.
And part of it is sort of understanding what have they faced at
Mhm.
different stages of the journey. So yeah, good job. Good on you.
I want to chime in and thank you for the example of the window washer. I resonated with that because we had a window washer make the new offer of gutter cleaning through email, and we bought right away. And so that for me is the big lesson takeaway from today is I make specific offers, but I don't think about making those directly to past customers. I'm just like, here's my menu. If you come find me, you're going to pick the one and then we're done. But to close that communication gap was really helpful.
That one is huge. I mean, like going back to that, the roof washer too. I mean, he had literally, you know, tens of thousands of dollars worth of business that just was there for the asking. But because we're focused on getting the new business and we chase after the new leads, the new prospects, we forget, oh, we can serve some of these people we've already served in additional ways. And it's a huge opportunity for a lot of businesses. So I'd love to hear what you find when you go back and make some of those offers, if you're able to get some new business out of it.
Thank you, Dave. We'll take one more aha or, you know, epiphany from people that have been, as you've been listening. I see Judy's hand being raised.
I think what struck me the most is what he just finished saying, is that in the business that I'm in, you do get so inundated in trying to go after that new customer, you know, get more money, do this kind of stuff. And we really forget that if we're out of sight, we're out of mind.
Mm-hmm.
And they think we don't care when we really do, but we're just so busy doing busy work that we forget to follow up on what's really important to us. And that's no longer any indifference to our existing or past clients.
Excellent.
Beautiful thought. It's so true. Yeah, we spend a lot of time bringing people in the front door and we forget about the people that are going out the back door, right? So
Exactly.
it's important to let them know that we do care and appreciate their business. I've heard that statistic in the past. It's like 85% of people who leave a business no longer do business with them. It's because they don't feel appreciated.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy. Well, thank you, Dave. Thank you so much for generously sharing your wisdom and insights with our community. We feel so very grateful to have you part of our Exceptional Connections community, being aligned with the Vancouver chapter, and especially in the time of COVID, being able to be a contribution to our Woodinville chapter as well. So thank you. This is, I guess, what we do, the COVID wave, right? Everybody's clapping. So thanks so much. I'm going to go ahead and stop the